Oh, dude, Protocell might be down. Shit.
Who you know drop the album back to back to back to back to back and back again. I'm back again and snap again. And goddamn it, ain't no other way to run against happening. Cause I've been living in a world of my own. Leave me alone, I'm in the zone where I've been prone to destroy shit. You cannot avoid this. Whack motherfuckers have annoyed this. Yes, you know I enjoy this. Preach, motherfucker, preach. Yeah, I'm trying to reach everybody in the streets. Putting words to the beats. Each one, teach one. Yeah, I'm trying to reach one. Who the beast one? That be me on the top to the east one. Tell me how you really want to do it right now. Trying to murder this. Shout out everybody, no fucking around and heard of this. Heard of us. We ain't going nowhere. It's a hurt of us. Hold up, roll up.
That's it. No more bruise. Protocell, if you can hear me, let him know I don't have any bruise left. And the amulet, thank you. So that's what happened, is I clicked the amulet instead of my whip. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. That's it. Okay, if I take no hands here, I'm good. I need one more freeze after this. No! 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 Not after all that! Not after all this! Please! It's not gonna happen here. I can't do 7% on my own in one freeze. It's 3, 4. I'm going for the 6th. Yes! Yes! Oh my god! The clutch world. Holy shit. For those who don't know, the Theater of Blood came out recently. This is a linear raids-like challenge which is 100% combat related and at the moment requires 5 solid teammates to do. There are 6 bosses you have to kill in the theater, and they are always in the same order. After every other boss, you get some rewards. The first 2 times is just supplies to continue raiding, and then the last time will be the loot after your final boss, which could possibly be some pretty expensive items at the moment. If you die a lot in the raid, then you're going to get onions and cabbage, so you probably want to stay alive because the supplies and even the loot at the end is very important. The very first boss is the Maiden of Sugadinti. I have no idea how to say that. The Maiden is weak to range and uses magic attacks on the closest player to her, which means you can apparently have a dedicated tank in here. She also has this blood attack, which she'll throw a spot of blood under you, and while you stand on it, you take a ton of damage, and it heals the Maiden for any damage that you did take. These spots can also turn into little blood spawns, which are going to track more blood around the room. When the Maiden hits 70, 50, and 30% health, she spawns some spiders that can heal her. Players have generally just froze these spiders and then BP them as soon as possible, also making sure to be freezing the blood spawns around the room, meaning that freezes are very important in here. Like any other boss in the raid, if you die in here, you go into purgatory. If your team finishes the room, then you'll be freed and you can move on. But if all your players in your raid die, then it costs you 100k to go get your stuff back and try again. If you die at all in the theater, doesn't matter if you just go to purgatory or not, you do lose your hardcore Iron Man status, by the way. The second boss is the Pestilent Bloat. The Bloat is weak to melee and it is an undead creature, so your salve amulet is very important in here. I've heard a lot of people saying that it's not that big of a deal. It's basically like being on task for the Bloat. The Bloat will be walking around the room until some players enter. Usually teams just send a single player in to start since you don't need everyone in there right away. He's usually pretty slow, but sometimes he speeds up. I've heard certain numbers of what percentage of health people think he speeds up at, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to jump into that. You do have to keep your eye on him though, because he can also turn around. At any point, if the Bloat sees you, he's going to attack you with some flies that do some rapid damage, and it spreads through the whole team, so you got to be very careful. Protect from range does decrease the damage that flies do, but it can still crank. Whenever the Bloat stops walking, you can start meleeing him, generally for 5 tentacle attacks before he wakes up. Sometimes you can get a 6th, depending on where he's standing. Again, that's not like a perfectly known mechanic, so I'm not going to try to go into too much detail on that. If you're near him when he wakes up, you can take a very large hit. If everyone survives, it should only take 4 or 5 freezes to finish the Bloat. So sometimes he's pretty annoying because one guy messing up can kill the whole team, but it's actually a pretty easy and quick boss. The third wave is the Nilocus Vasilius. This is the spider room. Some people call it a crab room. I don't know, they clearly look like spiders to me, but it's one of the most annoying rooms to get through in my opinion. With all the rooms, it just takes some consistency within your teammates, just like this one, but when the room starts, spiders are going to enter the room, and your goal is to protect the pillars around the room, because they will be attacking those pillars to try to bring them down. For the beginning of the fight, the health bar at the top you're going to notice is the pillar's health. Eventually you got to deal with a big spider, and that will change, but this is the one time that you don't want the health bar to hit 0. You have to mage the blue spiders, range the green spiders, melee the white ones. This is very important because if you use the wrong style, that spider becomes invincible to you, and somebody else has to kill it. Late in the fight, the spiders start changing colors, which is a pain, so you gotta make sure you're paying attention. Around this point, you're gonna want your mages to start freezing the blue spiders, honestly. If you freeze a blue spider and there's other spiders around it, no matter what color they are, they can still freeze and they won't become invincible to you, as far as I've seen. Once you finish the spider barrage, you're gonna have to kill one big spoder, which works very similar to the others, though if you use the wrong attack style, it heals instead of becoming invincible. Still very important. You do want to make sure you're changing your overheads, though. You basically have, I believe it's 2 tentacle attacks, 2 trident attacks, or 4 blowpipe attacks on each color, as long as you switch quickly. And you want to switch your overheads first, or you're going to get cranked. The 4th wave is Sodazeg. Sodazeg is a big old dark beast, and honestly it's one of the most interesting fights in my opinion. Very cool mechanics. His normal attacks bounce off players and can split into multiple attacks. Basically, the black orbs you gotta protect from range, and the red orbs you gotta protect from mage. You generally have a lot of time to see them coming, though sometimes you gotta switch very quick because 2 of them are gonna hit you almost at the same time. I think even in some cases on the same tick, which is a little frustrating to be fair. If you take a hit by one of them, it's going to disable your prayer for a few seconds, so you got to be careful because then you'll probably take a hit by another one real soon. When you see the big ass orb come out, you all got to stand close to each other, or the one person who's being targeted is kind of screwed. Occasionally, all of you will be teleported to the beginning of the maze, except for one person. The chosen one is taken to another realm where they actually get to see the correct maze path. As they walk through the path, it slowly shows up for other players. You gotta make sure that nobody steps outside the path, not even the person, not even the chosen one, or else everyone takes a lot of damage. Also, you gotta get through the maze kind of quickly because your teammates don't have that much time to get through it themselves. Sodazeg is weak to range, so you can just BP or T-bow and you tend to crank on him very well. A lot of players in the theater like to use Discord or whatnot to have some voice communications because it is very convenient over the chat. This is one of the bosses a lot of people think voice communications is necessary. As much as it is helpful, it's definitely not 100% necessary as long as you have some decent teammates. The 5th wave and the last normal boss is Zarpus. Zarpus has got to be the easiest boss in the theater. If you do everything right, you shouldn't take any damage. There's really 3 parts to the fight. First of all, Zarpus is kind of dormant in the middle while some green spots are going to show up and they start to heal him up. You just got to stand on these spots to prevent it. And really all that can happen during this phase is that he increases his max health when you actually get to fight him. As far as I'm aware, there is no way to die on this phase. On the second part, you should be blowpiping Zarpus since you can't hit him from anywhere in the room with the blowpipe. He's going to be sending out these poison splats, little balls of poison that do bounce around similar to Sodazeg's attack. You just have to move 2 spots away to not take any damage from this poison, but it will stay on the ground wherever it lands for the rest of the fight. So try to be condensed and try not to stay towards the middle because you will need to melee near Zarpus soon, and he never moves. Zarpus will be in the middle of the whole fight. And on that note, probably don't want to walk under Zarpus. He'll do some damage to you. Once Zarpus screeches, you can begin to use your tentacle on him. During this phase, he's going to turn, I believe it's every 8 ticks, aka 2 tentacle attacks, and he'll start staring towards the corner of the room. If you're in the quadrant of the room that he's looking at, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, and then you attack him, you're going to take a huge poison hit, but that's the only way you can take damage in this part. So each time he turns, you get 2 tentacle attacks, and then you can click the ground below you to stop attacking. If he turns and faces to your quadrant, you could move to another quadrant, especially if you were just standing only a square away from the other one and attack again. Or you can even just sit there and wait for him to turn again. Probably a little smart to play it safe, especially if it's your first time in there. The final wave is Lady Verzik Vitur. I still don't know if I say that right. At the time of recording this video, I haven't killed Verzik yet, and honestly, even if I did, I'd be saving that clip for my Road to PvM God series. There's a lot going on in the Verzik fight, which makes it the most interesting content in the game, in my opinion. This isn't really a guide for the theater. I've just been kind of going over the stuff I've seen at first, so I'm not going to give a detailed version of Verzik's kill, but like I said, I haven't killed Verzik anyway, so maybe you don't want a detailed version of it from me, because what do I know? You do start off by breaking down Verzik's shield with the Dawnbreaker, which you have to pick up right outside the room from a skeleton. Each teammate does have to use the spec on the shield a couple of times, and then you hide behind the pillar. Basically, whenever she uses an attack, a teammate can run out and use 2 specs on her, run back behind the pillar, drop the Dawnbringer for somebody else to pick up, and repeat. You gotta be very careful. Her magic attack can one-hit you during this phase if you're not paying attention and you don't stand behind the pillar. And if your team loses one person during this, they're kind of screwed. Once the shield goes down, all hell kind of breaks loose. You gotta keep your feet moving, especially if you use melee, which is best against her if I'm not mistaken.
It's weak to slash.
She has 2 phases at this point with a lot of special attacks involved, including spiders that need to be frozen, spiders that need to be killed, range bombs that you have to dodge, which is why you gotta keep your feet moving, some blue orb crap, there's sticky spider webs, tornadoes that follow you around, though that's only late game. Overall, she's a pretty intense fight, but once you've killed her, that's it. You've completed the theater, now you get to reap your rewards, possibly the rapier, defender, well, I guess it's a hilt, the Justicar armor, there's vials of blood, and maybe even the scythe, which all of them are very expensive right now, so some pretty solid loot to be had. The Avernic Defender hilt can be attached to a Dragon Defender for a solid upgrade in your shield slot. The Sanguinesti staff is similar to a Trident, but you have to charge it with blood runes. It takes 3 blood runes per attack and can hold 20k charges for 60,000 blood runes at a time. The attack also has a 1 in 6 chance of healing 50% of the damage you did, making this a very interesting choice for a mage weapon. The Grazi Rapier is my favorite reward from the theater, though I wouldn't say it's the best item. The Rapier is basically an Abyssal Tentacle, but it's a stab weapon instead of slash, and not to mention, it doesn't degrade or have to be recharged or anything. The Scythe of Vitur is a monster slash weapon that does need to be charged with vials of blood and blood runes. It can hit multiple targets each attack, and it can hit large targets multiple times. This is going to be a very expensive item for a while. The Justicar armor is a new tank armor that when you wear the full set, it reduces the percentage of the hit that you take based on your defense bonus. I'd really like to see a tank wear this armor and the bulwark or something at some bosses like Bandos. I don't know. Very cool tank armor. Also going to be expensive for a while, like anything else in here, for at least a little bit. And the vials of blood that you can get don't only charge the scythe, but you can also make 2 new potions with them. The Bastion potion is a ranging pot and a super defense in one, while the Battle Mage potion is a magic potion and a super defense in one. Overall, the Theater of Blood is really amazing content. I'm very excited to get into it. I'd like to grind it out a bunch, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that right away. Even though I'd like to get a kill early, still haven't yet, like I'd said. I'm going to definitely jump back into it a little more, and if you're looking for more content on my end from Theater of Blood, you're probably waiting for some more PvM God episodes. Thanks for watching this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed or got some somewhat helpful information from my first looks at the Theater of Blood. And if you're going in there yourselves, good luck on the raid.